If you get anything out of today's video, I want it to be that you know that I believe that hearing aids are not cosmetic devices. Welcome to my channel. My name is Emily. I created Definite Hearing as a way to increase awareness for the deaf and hard of hearing. I wear hearing aids myself. I've been wearing them since I was 4 months old, and I am so grateful for them. In the past, the state of Ohio in the United States attempted to pass a bill that would require private insurance to cover hearing devices. Private insurances really get to pick and choose what they cover. They are typically required to cover anything from pacemakers to prosthetics to diabetic equipment, but somehow hearing aids got left out. Currently, there are 24 states in the United States that have some shape or form of bill that requires that private insurance cover hearing devices for children. Now, Ohio is not one of those states. There's a bill, a bipartisan bill, meaning it is supported by two different political groups, the Democrats and the Republicans. Representative Allison Russo, a Democrat, and Representative Sarah Manchester, a Republican, are supporting this Ohio bill to mandate that private insurance cover hearing devices for children. Since 2002, Ohio has been mandating newborn hearing screening, which means since 2002, Ohio has run a hearing test on every single baby born. And if a child fails that test, the state refers them to the deaf and hard of hearing divisions to take care of this child. But due to the lack of hearing aid support and hearing aid care, some children do not get the care that they need and that they are referred to get because private insurance is not required to cover hearing aids and hearing devices. It is estimated that 400 children per year are born in Ohio with hearing loss. Roughly half of these children have Medicaid. Medicaid is a government health program which pays for almost all of the hearing aid devices. But for those children that are not supported by Medicaid and have private insurance, they really are at the mercy of their insurance policy. So this Ohio bill would ideally mandate that those insurance policies cover hearing devices for these children. Now, why would we do that? Hearing aids are absolutely instrumental in developing children's brains. If a child does not receive early intervention and hearing assistance when they are a baby to when they are an infant, they lose those 3 critical years of soaking in, understanding, and computing language. It really becomes a struggle for them to be literate because they can't hear the words. Like, words on a page don't make sense either. The phonemes are abstract concepts because they have to rely on their eyes rather than using their ears. Hearing aids, hearing devices, cochlear implants, bone-anchored hearing aids, they are critical to the development of a child's speech and language skills. Hearing is absolutely essential to the proper development of a child's brain. And that said, if a child does not receive hearing assistance, say it's a deaf family and they have a deaf child and they don't treat that child's hearing, they just use sign language, the brain will rewire itself to communicate, but it will be visual. And that child will have a difficult time acquiring spoken speech and being able to read, and it will have a difficult time being literate as well. The state of Ohio estimates that they spend $400,000 per child in the special education program. If a child does not receive proper hearing assistance and care when they are a baby and an infant and their brain is developing, they will most likely, more than likely, I'm not an expert, but they will require special education programs that really require a lot of money to run. When I was born in the 90s, it was not normal for a deaf child that had not received any hearing assistance to have a reading level above that of a 3rd grader. Now, both of my parents are hearing, and so I was born, my sister was born, and we were born to hearing parents. They didn't know that hearing loss existed in the family. They were like, what in the world? We didn't know this would be a thing. And they attempted to learn ASL and it just wasn't working. It's not a native language in my family. And so they found cute speech. They put us in hearing aids, and we're so grateful that we had the means to do that because private insurance did not cover that. In my opinion, Hearing aids are not cosmetic devices. They are brain batteries. They power your brain. They enable you to hear, and they ultimately pave the way to literacy. And in today's world, to really have a leg up and to be successful, literacy is key. You've got to be able to read. You've got to be able to communicate orally and in writing. And so I am such a fan of these laws that are being passed in states to mandate that private insurance cover hearing devices for children. Now, I will say these hearing devices, they cost about $2,500 each, up to $6,000 for a pair. So to release this burden from a family, and it happening every 3 to 5 years, releasing this burden from the family is just so worth it. Because think about it. If a child is growing up from the age that they're 0 to 21, they have roughly 4 pairs of hearing aids. That is $24,000 that the state or the private insurance would be required to pay to cover the hearing devices. Now, that doesn't include speech therapy, audiologist appointments, but those costs are so minimal compared to the $400,000 a year that states and taxpayers pay to foster the special education systems if a child is not able to read, communicate, and be literate. So I am absolutely huge on these. I just am such a big fan of private insurance covering hearing aids. You can debate that it increases premiums. It's negligible. It's just so different. So I am such a fan of this. You can check with ASHA's site to see what bills and laws have been passed in your area, what coverage is available for children. As far as adults, we're really struggling in that area. We definitely need to work as a nation in that area to get that coverage available to all. And I just feel really strongly about this. I think that people can choose whether or not they want to be fit with hearing devices, but I definitely feel that hearing parents of children that are born deaf or hard of hearing should fit their child with hearing aids. I know that's a hot topic. I know that this could be very debatable, but I strongly believe that. I am so grateful that my hearing parents did the best that they could with me, and that they gave me hearing aids and the option to hear and to communicate and to write, to graduate college. My mom did not want us to be a part of the statistic where 90% of deaf children couldn't read above that of a 3rd grade reading level. So I'm so grateful I can read. I'm so grateful I can communicate. It enables me to be successful. I am married. I have a full-time job. I'm doing what I love, and I graduated from college. I've had so many opportunities because I've been able to read and to hear. I have heard of situations where there are teenagers that wear hearing aids and just decide they don't want to wear them anymore, and they fully embrace the deaf culture and American Sign Language. And that is awesome. More power to you, but at least you got the choice to choose. And some people might say, well, if you give your child hearing devices, then they still don't get to choose. They do get to choose. They can always go back to being deaf, capital D, deaf culture, with the resistance of hearing devices and fully embracing ASL, but you cannot reverse the impact of not having hearing devices when a child is young. I am such a fan of hearing devices. Hearing aids are not cosmetic. They are brain powering devices. They should be available to everyone. That is my opinion. I would love to hear what your opinion is down in the comments below. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to making more great content for you. Have a great day. Bye.